Hey, it's Storyworthy. Today on the show, I give you a preview of my brand new podcast, My Life in 3 Songs, exclusively on Spotify. On today's show, you'll hear from 10 comedians, including Blaine Capatch, Todd Glass, Alonzo Bodden, and Kathy Ladman.
I remember my mom had listened to the record so much that when the next song came on, I knew it. And I was like with my brother in the living room. One song ended, and then I had like a book in my hand, and I started to sing the next song. Boom, 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 boom. And then it came on. And my brother goes, "How did you know that? You're reading that."
Everybody stood up because it's the encore. But my mom was was seated still. And it was like, duh, duh, some say love. And my mom, I swear to God, she goes, yo-ho! And it's like, it is a river. And she's like, could you sit down? I can't see.
Every morning for 40 years, that is my default. It's the Muzak in the elevator of my life is Conjunction Junction.
Today on Storyworthy, you'll hear a promo for My Life in 3 Songs with over 10 comedians. Stick around. Welcome to Storyworthy. My name is Christine Blackburn, and I'm coming to you from Los Angeles, California. Whether you're a longtime fan of the show or a new listener, welcome to Storyworthy. Now, I hope you guys enjoyed the show last week with actress and podcaster Ashley Blaine Featherson Jenkins. She told a really great story about her mother giving away her dog to the pizza guy. I'm not kidding. Her mother just gave the dog away one night when she was fed up with it, and then Ashley didn't have a dog anymore. Anyway, it's a really funny story, and Ashley is super talented, so go back and listen to that. But today I wanted to share with you a sample of my brand new podcast, My Life in 3 Songs. Now, the show highlights comedians sharing 3 songs that have impacted their lives. Not necessarily their favorite songs, but songs that paint a picture about the comedian and where they're from. Now, you cannot find this show everywhere because it's exclusively on Spotify. Why is that? Well, because Spotify has that music licensing that I need. Now, sometimes you might hear podcasts where people just play other people's songs anyways, but that's called stealing music. And I really value music and musicians, and I just don't want to do that. So I have put the show up exclusively on Spotify. They have an option where you can do that and share their music. And so that's what's going on. Whether you're a premium member or not, you're going to hear My Life in 3 Songs on Spotify completely for free. So please do go over there and follow My Life in 3 Songs. And get ready for some laughs today. I've got some amazing comedians to give you an example of how great this show is. I've been thinking about My Life in 3 Songs for over 3 years. I've always connected music with comedy. And you'll hear what I mean. So just to remind you guys, you can find Storyworthy everywhere on social media at Storyworthy, and also follow My Life in 3 Songs on Instagram and Twitter at My Life in 3 Songs. You can also head over to the website, mylifein3songs.com, and there you can donate to the show, or donate to Storyworthy, or just donate to the hardest working woman in the podcasting world. And I'm doing this all for you guys and because I really enjoy it. I love comedy and I love music, and you guys are going to love My Life in 3 Songs. So let's hear it.
Hi, my name is Todd Glass, and you're listening to My Life in 3 Songs with Christine Blackburn. I was thinking of early on, like I went back to a house we used to live in. It started really bringing up a lot of, memories, and Walk the Line. My mom had that album, the years you forget a little bit over the years. You hope someone's not listening to this and going, wait, that song didn't come out but I'm pretty sure Walk the Line in my house we had in 72, and, or even 70. And, I remember my mom had listened to the record so much that when the next song came on, I knew it. And I was like with my brother in the living room. I never thought about this till you talked to me on the phone. And I remember the one song ended, and then I had like a book in my hand, and I started to sing the next song. Boom, 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 boom. And then it came on. And my little brother, Corey, goes, how did you know that? You're reading that. It was a book from school. I go, and even in like third grade, I go, oh yeah, they always print the mom's album songs in my school books. It was just because she had heard it so much that I knew, like, every time there would be a pause in the song, I would start the next song, like, automatically. And that it's still, it says that good art will stand the test of time,
Hey, my name is Greg Fitzsimmons, and you're listening to My Life in 3 Songs with Christine Blackburn. You're so lucky. I guess I should explain why it's important to me. It was a big song in the 70s, and then my father died when I was like 25, and I went into like a super dark, agoraphobic kind of depression for a while, for like a year. And it hit me really hard, and I remember coming out of it, and I was starting to go outside more. I was starting to be part of the world again. And I was taking a cab, and I was going up 6th Avenue in a cab, and that song came on. I can see clearly now the rain is gone. And I started crying, and it was like tears of joy. It was like this moment of like, the worst thing about depression, and I have depression, is that it feels like it's going to last forever. And William Styron wrote this book called Darkness Visible that really describes it better than anything I've ever read. And it was that moment where you're floating at sea, and there's no land in sight, and then all of a sudden, like, boom, I see the land. I'm almost there, and I know I'm going to make it. I think I'd always struggled with depression, but part of that depression had to do with my father in my life. I mean, he was an alcoholic, but I was also very close to him. And for the first time in my life, we'd had 9 months where we hadn't spoken. We had a falling out, which had to do with his drinking. And then he died. And so there's normal grief when a parent dies, especially young. He was only 52. But also the added grief that it didn't end on good terms. And so I felt guilty. And I felt responsible. Like, part of it felt like I'd killed him. Meanwhile, like, my sister wasn't really on speaking terms with him. Which isn't indicative of our relationships with him. It was just where he was at in his life. And so that song felt like a thawing. It felt like, I think I'd been going to therapy, and my therapist pointed out to me that I didn't stop talking to him, that I didn't come home for Christmas, and then but I called and he wouldn't come to the phone, and he stopped talking to me. And that was this huge release for me, to say it wasn't your fault, and it was his choice that things were the way they were.
Hey, my name is Sean Pulaski, and you're listening to My Life in 3 Songs with Christine Blackburn. And I watched her performing, and I was like, who is this lady? And I was a young kid, but I still was like, wow, she can sing, she's funny, she can even dance, she could do it all. She acts. And I just was like, oh my God. And she could just hold a room. And I thought, God, I just want to be like this lady. And plus she had, let's just say, she had a lot of gay men around her and gay following. And I was like, oh, that's really exciting as well. And she was somebody that I just wanted to emulate. I wanted to be just like her. So I followed everything she did. And I'll never forget seeing her live at the Universal Amphitheater. And that was the first time I had ever seen her. And it was just such an intimate type of room. And she just brought the house down. And from then on, I saw her maybe about 6 times. I saw her at Diva Las Vegas. And then she had a show called The Divine Miss Millennium. And The Divine Miss Millennium, I think where was that? I think it was at the Staples. So this particular moment, and this is why I love the Rose. I to this day, I think the Rose is one of the most gut-wrenching songs. Also, she sang it in the movie The Rose, which she should have won an Academy Award for, but I think that year she was up against Diane Keaton for Annie Hall. So Annie Hall won. But Bette Midler's performance, and it was like her first real serious performance, it was great. But The Rose, it's just this powerful song she sings in it. And every time I hear it, I'm filled with emotions. But how I remember this song is I went to the Staples Center, Divine Miss Millennium. I had a couple of friends with me, and my mom was with me. My mom passed away about 4 years ago, and my mom loved Bette Midler. She was really, I think, the person who introduced her to me. And I remember going with my mom, and it was an encore. Now, mind you, Staples Center is just filled with gay men and Jewish women. That's it. And we are with, probably about 3 gay men ourselves and another friend of mine. And it's encore time. She comes out and you start to hear the first couple of notes of The Rose. And everybody goes nuts, because everyone knows. And it's like, da, da, da. And everybody stood up because it's the encore. But my mom was was seated still. And it was like, da, da, some say love. And my mom, I swear to God, she goes, right after that, she goes, yo-ho! And it's like, it is a river. And she's like, could you sit down? I can't see. And it's like, and Queens were losing their shit on her because she was just killing the moment, going, yo-ho, sit down. And so I can never hear The Rose. I can't even hear those first, without thinking of my mom just bringing that moment to a halt because she couldn't see. She didn't want to stand up.
Hey, my name is Blaine Capatch, and you're listening to My Life in 3 Songs with Christine Blackburn. All the sense memory stuff that I was going to talk about, there's songs where when you think about them, and they're different songs for everybody, so I would cross them off, but there are songs where if you hear it, you can smell things, and you can look around a room you haven't been in for 30 years, and you can remember every detail. It's really amazing. If I listen to Doolittle by the Pixies, which is one of my top 3 albums, I am sitting in a burned out bakery that was my apartment in Baltimore, and it's cold, and I had just moved out, and I'm sitting on a floor. I remember where the doors were. It's all that stuff. The basement was a dirt basement, and there was the remains of a big like an oven down there. It was creepy. Well, this song is very important to me. It's a schoolhouse rock song, and it's called Conjunction Junction. And it was written by Bob Duro, who's a beautiful genius, and sung by Jack Sheldon, who recently passed, and he had that memorable voice. But it was on Saturday mornings on ABC, and that was key for a kid like me. Christine, you remember Saturday mornings? They were... Yeah, and I don't want to get into Gen X nostalgia or any of that stuff. But when you're a kid and something like this is as regular as it is, I remember the first time I saw a Schoolhouse Rock, I was just watching cartoons at 8 in the morning, and that 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, that one came on, and I had never seen one before, and I was like, what the fuck? And then there were a few more during the day. I was like, oh, they've made these for different things. And I was very intrigued, and the songs were all very, very catchy and full of hooks. And, I mean, I remember the preamble to the Constitution helped me get through a test. You know they're nouns. A noun's a special kind of word. It's any name you've ever heard. I find it quite interesting. A noun's a person, place, or thing. And math, 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21, 24, 27, 30. There, I just counted to 30 in threes. Can I tell you why I closed with that one, Christine? Because that song plays in my head all the time. It is my default music in my head. It plays every morning when I wake up. it's got to be 35 years at least. 40 years? It plays in my head constantly. If I'm not listening to something or thinking of something else, it will start playing. Out of the frying pan into the fire, cut loose the sandbag, but the balloon wouldn't go any higher. Let's go out to the mountains, or down to the sea. You should always say thank you, all leaves they bleed. That's what I hear when I'm washing my hair. Every morning for 40 years, Christine. Every morning for 40 years, that is my default. It's the muzak in the elevator of my life, is Conjunction Junction. It's a very complex arrangement. That's the verse too. It's the one verse that plays on a loop. And then if I'm aware of it, I'll think of a different verse in my head, or I'll try to think of a different song to get it out. But I swear to God, Christine, and I'm not exaggerating, every day of my life I listen to it for a few hours. It'll play in my head in the background. When I'm talking to people, when I'm driving sometimes, it's just the song that, this morning it didn't happen. This morning and yesterday I had Wet Dream by Wet Leg playing in my head, which is a great album. Get the new Wet Leg album. It's the album of 2022. It's just the best. Just a fantastic, fun, not a bad cut on it. Go get it. Get it when you're done. But that was in my head the last couple of days, and I know that because I noticed that Conjunction Junction was not playing in my head. I take note of it when it's not playing, and it's got to be a synapse misfire. It's got to be some sort of brain lesion. Not a lesion, but it's just a back channel in my brain that is connected to something that will pipe that music around constantly.
Hey, my name is Kathy Ladman, and you're listening to My Life in 3 Songs with Christine Blackburn. It's so great. I think some smells, food smells, can be as evocative as music, that can really take you back to a time and place, an age where you had just a very specific feeling about yourself, about your life. And it's not always good, but this one was good. It's funny because when I first heard Steely Dan in the 80s, I was not a big fan of their sound. It was a very different sound and it just didn't speak to me. And I remember very vividly doing a gig and talking to this other comic, and he's asking me, do you like Steely Dan? I said, no, I don't. He goes, yeah, you know what? I don't either. And I don't know why everybody is, and so I was not on the Steely Dan bandwagon. And then I think this song put me on it. And now I love all of their stuff. And I love Donald Fagen's solo stuff. In fact, my ringtone is A New Frontier. Well, this is the first song of hers that I ever heard. And we had moved to Minneapolis for a short time. This was a really sad time in my life. We had started to renovate a house and we ran out of money and we couldn't finish it. And we had to ask somebody else to finish it, but we had to leave the house and we had to go live with my mother-in-law in Minneapolis. For 16 months we were there. This period of time gutted me. And when I heard that song, it was one of the lights. It helped to open the window and let some light into my life. So that I will always place, this will always be Minneapolis to me, which was a great experience, by the way. It turned out to be a wonderful experience out of bad circumstances.
This is Bruce Baum, and you're listening to My Life in 3 Songs with Christine Blackburn. The Kinks are my go-to group. They're my favorite. They've got a catalog that's unbelievable. They've written rock operas and plays. But in 1981, the comedy boom was exploding. It kind of happened at the beginning of 80. There was a show called Make Me Laugh, which pulled most of their people from the Comedy Store. And that show and the Comedy Store were the catalyst for the boom, because at that time you could see the same comics 5 days a week. So your people were talking about you, whereas if they'd seen you on the Tonight Show, you're not on the next night for them to say, oh, if you missed that guy last night, he's on again tonight. So Make Me Laugh, there was the catalyst. So when I was on the road to get myself pumped for a show, there were a number of songs I would listen to. And I could say Thin Lizzy, Springsteen, there were Van, but the Kinks. I have a song called Better Things. And I would put that on before I went on. Still to this day, if I'm going to listen to music for a while, I start off with that. It's such a positive, uplifting song. And for me, it just brightens everything up. If you listen to the lyrics, and I won't do it now, but I can't listen to the song and not get up and dance around the room.
Hey, my name is Wayne Federman, and you're listening to My Life in 3 Songs with Christine Blackburn. Towards the end of the record, I hear this song called Brown Eyes, and I almost start crying when I hear this song. It's so emotional to me. And again, the lyrics are a little ambiguous to it, but the sentiment of the song is obviously about loss. It's about, and she has this extremely powerful, to me, to other people, it could probably sound inane, like I sing about Electric, where one of the verses is just everything is everything, and everything is everything, and everything, I can't even remember it now. But anyway, it's something like that. And it's very existential, and for me, and it's about loss, and it's about losing maybe this girlfriend she had, or it was about a girl with brown eyes, or she has brown eyes, or through her, I'm not sure. But anyway, I was really moved by it. And when I would walk around in New York at that time, because don't forget, I started my career in New York working at the comic strip, working at Catch a Rising Star, trying to get a commercial agent, going to NYU, like all of that. And then as soon, like I came out to California in 1986, like I had been out there for a long time, for whatever. So a long 24 years. So 23 years. So it was like weird to be back. And for me, I know this isn't funny at all, but it was like very much, I don't know. There was a dream-like quality to being back in New York, because every block held these memories for me. So I would walk by my old apartment, or walk by this. I walked by the Ziegfeld Theater, and I was like, wow, was that whole thing, this whole career I've had, was that just, it felt like a dream. It felt like my life was a dream, which in a sense, I'll let philosophers deal with that a little bit. But it was just a different headspace. This was not everything in front of me. This was a good chunk of my career behind me, even though I was doing fine. Believe me, I'm working at 30 Rock. I mean, I was doing great. But there was still kind of all right, this wheel is moving along. And so can you pull up the lyrics to that song just quickly for me, just so I make sure I quote that correctly? Everything is everything. Everything is everything, and everything is over. That's what it was. Everything is over. So and I lost you. So it's just a song about loss. And I don't know, I just loved her vocals on it. And I loved her. I mean, obviously the album created her whole career, and that whole album was about being famous. It's called The Fame. And being an artist, but for some reason that song stuck out as like, oh, this is not about being famous. This is about something else completely. And then even when I was working at Late Night with Jimmy Fallon, she made her debut on SNL. So I went up during rehearsals to watch her rehearse, and she wrote out this little monologue she did before she sang at the piano. And I don't know. It was I was just in a different headspace, completely different life moment. And that's why that song really, to this day, sticks with. And again, obviously not a hit. It's not even, like I looked it up on Wikipedia. It doesn't even have its own little thing. Like no one cares about the song Brown Eyes. But I am extremely moved by the sentiment of the song, not specifically all of the lyrics, and the arrangement of the song, and her vocals. I just think are just spectacular to me, but
Hey, my name is Roz Brown, and you're listening to My Life in Three Songs with Christine Blackburn. My first song is Car Wash by Rose Royce, and it came out in the 1970s, and they had a movie soundtrack. It was for the soundtrack Car Wash, the movie. And I'm from Boston, so I don't know if you know that. So I was in Boston at the time, not doing comedy, not thinking about California. But when I saw that movie and heard that music, I'm like, I want to go out there to California and actually see that car wash. It's is it Robertson or Beverly? Beverly, I can't remember, but I want to say Alvarado. Beverly and Alvarado. Yeah, so car wash got me out to California. The song and everybody was having fun. It just seemed like a fun place to be. I know they were all like working at the car wash, but to me it was like just so much fun going on. And then you had Richard Pryor came in as the pimp, and he had the big hat on, and the Pointer Sisters was his backup singers, and they were there, and everybody. It was just a great movie, and the soundtrack was just so awesome, and it was sunny, and in Boston, the snowy, and I'm like, So that was one of my catalysts for coming out to California. I came out to go to school, but that was the cover I came out under.
Hey, this is Melissa Peterman, and you're listening to My Life in Three Songs with Christine Blackburn. Well, this song, I wasn't born when this song was written, but I was an artist I discovered. It's Into the Mystic, Van Morrison, and again, just one of those songs that to me, by the way, so the story, this song was played at our wedding. This is one of the walking down the aisle songs for me. And I just absolutely loved it. My husband, John Brady, loves it. And to me, it's one of those songs that it could be played at your wedding and your funeral. And I don't mean that, but it's just one of those songs. It's about taking a leap. To me, that's what it means. And I think about, or jumping into the unknown, which could mean a lot of things to a lot of people, whether it's jumping into the marriage, whether it's jumping into the great beyond, whether it's just, and I remember, and this is why I love this song. So we got married in Minneapolis in June. So it's like 1,000 degrees 1 minute, and then it was thunder and hail, and it was humid. And we had this, we were lucky enough to be in theater. So we knew a lot of great singers. So Russ Constance, who's an amazing performer and's got this voice, was singing Into the Mystic, and he's singing, and as that foghorn blows, and truly thunder and lightning just started, and it would echoed through the church. My grandma Bev was walking down the aisle, so we all thought it was her doing Beverly. But I'll never forget him saying that, and then just thunder happening. And John will always say to me, it's I know we played that song at our wedding, but I want it played at my funeral too. It's one of those songs that, to me, it feels like a hymn. It's a hymn.
Hey, this is Alonzo Bodden. You are listening to My Life in Three Songs with Christine Blackburn. So here's the thing. Return to Forever goes back to the fusion era of jazz in the 70s. They called it fusion or jazz rock fusion. It was when a lot of electronics were breaking in music. They were switching over from acoustic to electronic keyboards and synthesizers. And of course, everyone in this band, the four guys in this band, were each an icon in their own right. They were each an incredible musician. And one of the things I love about this band is the sheer talent of the musicians, right? The musicians are masters of what they do, and I admire that. Stanley Clarke, the bass player, is by most arguments the greatest. And Stanley played electric and acoustic bass, which is not a lot of people master both. He is a master of both. The funny thing to me is there would be this insane cheering, and then they would hit one note and we all went silent because we just wanted to hear the music. And then as soon as they finished, we went berserk. So it was really fun to experience it. I've since met, I was lucky enough to meet Chick Corea before he passed away. I've met Lenny White quite a few times, and I've met Stanley Clarke quite a few times. And it's tough to, especially with Stanley, it's tough not to go fanboy when I talk to him. I have to I have to try to be cool and not be like, you are the greatest musician. I love everything you've ever played. It's like, nah, I got to be cool.
All right, you guys, that's been a preview of My Life in 3 Songs. Remember to follow the show exclusively over there on Spotify and check it out on social media at My Life in 3 Songs. And if you want to hear certain comedians, well, you can go over to the website, mylifein3songs.com, and shoot me a message, and I'll try to get them on the show. My name is Christine Blackburn, saying, make it a story worthy movie.
Thanks for joining us on the Storyworthy Podcast. We'll be back next week with all new stories. Subscribe to Storyworthy on iTunes and visit the Storyworthy website at storyworthypodcast.com.